The diner smelled of burnt coffee and nostalgia. But to Eli, it was the scent of a past he barely remembered. At 22, he sat rigid in the vinyl booth, his fingers tracing the edge of a chipped mug, waiting for the woman who had walked out of his life 15 years ago. His heart pounded like it was trying to escape his chest, each beat whispering, "She's coming. She's really coming." Eli had been 7 when his mother, Clara, left. One day she was there, singing him to sleep with old folk tunes. The next, she was gone, leaving only a note that said, "I'm sorry, Eli. I love you." His father, Tom, never spoke of her again, raising Eli in a small Ohio town where silence filled the gaps of their broken family. Eli grew up with questions no one answered, carrying a Polaroid of Clara, her auburn hair glowing in sunlight, her smile wide but tired tucked in his wallet like a talisman. Now, after years of searching, he'd found her. A single email from a private investigator had led him here, to this diner in rural Pennsylvania, where Clara worked as a waitress. The bell above the door jingled, and Eli's breath caught. A woman stepped in, her hair still auburn but streaked with gray, her eyes scanning the room until they landed on him. "Clara." She froze, her hand clutching the strap of her purse. For a moment, time collapsed. Eli was 7 again, reaching for her hand. Then she moved toward him, slow, like she was afraid he'd vanish. "Eli." Her voice trembled, soft but unmistakable. He stood, his throat tight. "Mom." They didn't hug. Not yet. The weight of 15 years hung between them, heavy with unspoken questions. Clara slid into the booth across from him, her hands fidgeting with a napkin. "You're so grown," she whispered, her eyes tracing his face. "I didn't think you'd find me." "Why didn't you want me to?" Eli's voice cracked, sharper than he meant. He'd rehearsed this moment 1,000 times, but the hurt spilled out raw. "You left me. No calls, no letters, just nothing." Clara's gaze dropped to the table. "I didn't want to leave you, Eli. I had to." "Why?" He pressed, leaning forward. "Dad said you just couldn't handle it. Being a mom. Was that it?" Her lips parted, but no words came. Instead, she reached for her coffee, her hands shaking. Eli noticed a faint scar on her wrist, barely visible under her sleeve. Something about it tugged at him, a memory he couldn't place. "I owe you the truth," Clara said finally, her voice low. "But it's not simple. It's not just about me or you or your father. There's someone else." Eli frowned. "Who?" Clara hesitated, then pulled a small photo from her purse and slid it across the table. It showed a young woman, maybe Eli's age, with Clara's auburn hair and a shy smile. "This is Lily," Clara said. "Your sister." The word hit Eli like a punch. Sister. He stared at the photo, his mind reeling. "I don't have a sister. You left when I was 7. There was no one else." "There was," Clara said softly. "Lily was born after I left. I was pregnant when I had to go." Eli's hands clenched. "Had to go. You keep saying that. What does it mean? Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't Dad know?" Clara's eyes filled with tears. But she didn't look away, because I was protecting her. And you, from something I couldn't face back then. The diner's hum faded as Eli's world narrowed to her words. He wanted to scream, to demand answers, but the pain in her eyes stopped him. This wasn't the reunion he'd imagined. It was messier, heavier, and something told him the truth would change everything. The next hour passed in fragments. Clara spoke haltingly, piecing together a story that felt like a puzzle with half the pieces missing. She'd left Ohio not because she didn't love Eli, but because she was running from what she wouldn't yet say. She'd settled in Pennsylvania, given birth to Lily, and raised her alone, working double shifts at the diner to keep them afloat. Lily, now 20, was in college, unaware of Eli's existence. Clara had kept him a secret, just as she'd kept Lily a secret from Tom. "Why didn't you tell me?" Eli asked again, his voice softer now, fraying with exhaustion. "I could have handled it. I deserved to know I had a sister." Clara reached for his hand, but he pulled back. "I was scared," she admitted. "Scared of what you'd think of me. Scared of what your father would do if he found out. I thought keeping you separate was safer." "Safer from what?" Eli's frustration flared. "You're talking in circles. Mom, just tell me." She opened her mouth, but the diner's phone rang, sharp and jarring. Clara flinched, glancing at the counter where a coworker answered it. "I have to get back to work," she said, standing. "But meet me tomorrow, at the park by the river. I'll tell you everything. And you can meet Lily." Eli wanted to argue, to demand she stay, but the desperation in her eyes held him back. He nodded, watching as she walked away, her shoulders hunched like she carried the weight of the world. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He sat on the edge of his motel bed, the Polaroid of Clara in one hand, the photo of Lily in the other. A sister. The word felt foreign, impossible. He tried to picture her. Did she have his eyes, his stubborn streak? And what was Clara hiding? The scar on her wrist flashed in his mind, a clue to something darker. As dawn broke, Eli knew one thing: whatever secret Clara was keeping, it was bigger than he'd ever imagined. And he wasn't sure he was ready for it. The park by the river was quiet, save for the rustle of leaves and the distant hum of a lawnmower. Eli arrived early, his sneakers sinking into the damp grass as he paced near a wooden bench. His stomach churned with a mix of anticipation and dread, the photo of Lily burning a hole in his pocket. Clara had promised answers today, and maybe a sister. The thought made his chest tight. What do you say to someone you didn't know existed? "Hey, I'm your brother." Surprise. He shook his head, trying to focus. The river glinted under the morning sun, and for a moment, Eli let himself imagine a different life, one where Clara hadn't left, where he and Lily grew up together, arguing over toys or sneaking out to concerts. But that fantasy crumbled as two figures approached. Clara, her face pale, and a young woman who could only be Lily. Lily was taller than Eli expected, her auburn hair pulled into a messy bun. She wore a flannel shirt and jeans, her expression wary as she glanced between Clara and Eli. Up close, Eli saw traces of himself in her, the same sharp jawline, the same hazel eyes. It was like looking into a mirror that showed a different version of his life. "Eli, this is Lily." Clara said, her voice unsteady. Lily, this is your brother. Lily's eyes widened, her lips parting in shock. Brother. She turned to Clara, her voice rising. You said we were meeting an old friend. What is this? I know it's a lot, Clara said, reaching for Lily's arm. Lily stepped back, her face a storm of confusion and betrayal. Eli's heart sank. He'd imagined this moment. But not like this, not with Lily looking like she'd been ambushed. I didn't know about you either, he said quickly. Not until yesterday. Lily's gaze flicked to him, searching his face. You're saying, you're my brother. Like, for real? Eli nodded, pulling the photo from his pocket. This is you, right? Mom showed me. Lily stared at the picture, her fingers brushing the edge. Mom, she echoed, her voice flat. You left him too. Clara's face crumpled. Lily, please, let's sit down. I'll explain everything. They sat on the bench, an awkward triangle of strangers bound by blood. Clara took a deep breath, her hands clasped tightly. When I left Ohio, she began. I was running from your father. Eli. Tom, he wasn't who you think he was. Eli's stomach dropped. What do you mean? Clara's eyes darted to the river, as if the water could wash away the words she had to say. Your father was controlling, angry. When I was pregnant with you, Eli, he hurt me. Not always with his hands, but with words, with fear. I stayed because I thought I could protect you. But when I got pregnant with Lily, I knew I couldn't let her grow up in that house. Eli's mind spun. His father, Tom, had been strict, distant, but never cruel. Or had he? Memories flickered Tom's sharp voice when Eli asked about Clara. The way he'd shut down any mention of her. Why didn't you take me with you? Eli asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I wanted to, Clara said, tears spilling over. But Tom threatened to take you away forever if I tried. He had money, lawyers. I was scared I'd lose you completely. Lily's face was unreadable, her arms crossed tightly. So you left him behind and had me, and never told me I had a brother. I thought I was protecting you both, Clara said, her voice breaking. I thought if I kept you apart, Tom wouldn't find us. But I was wrong. I was so wrong. Eli's hands shook as he processed her words. His father, the man who'd raised him, had driven Clara away. And Lily, his sister, had grown up without knowing him because of it. Anger and grief tangled inside him. But so did something else, a strange, fragile hope. He looked at Lily, who was staring at the ground, her jaw tight. Lily, he said softly, I know this is a lot. I'm freaking out too. But I want to know you. Lily's eyes met his, and for a moment, he saw the same longing he felt, a need to connect, to make sense of this fractured family. I don't even know where to start, she said, her voice small. Me neither, Eli admitted. But maybe we can figure it out together. Clara watched them, her face a mix of guilt and relief. There's more you both need to know, she said. About why I stayed hidden. About who I am. Eli's pulse quickened. What do you mean? Clara hesitated, her fingers brushing the scar on her wrist. "Tomorrow," she said. "Come to my apartment. I'll tell you everything. I promise." As they parted ways, Eli and Lily exchanged numbers, a tentative bridge between their separate worlds. Eli walked back to his motel, his mind racing. Clara's words echoed, "Who I am." What else was she hiding? And why did that scar feel like a key to something he wasn't ready to face? Clara's apartment was small, cluttered with books and mismatched furniture. But it felt alive in a way Eli's childhood home never had. Photos lined the walls, Lily as a toddler, grinning in a park, Clara laughing at a beach, a few faded shots of Eli as a boy, tucked among the rest like a secret kept safe. Eli stood in the living room, his eyes lingering on a picture of him at 5, holding Clara's hand. He didn't remember that moment, but it hurt all the same. Lily sat on the couch, her knees pulled to her chest, still processing the bombshell of having a brother. Clara bustled in the kitchen, making tea no one would drink, her movements nervous. "I don't know where to start," she said, setting a tray on the coffee table. "Start with why you stayed hidden," Eli said, his voice steady but firm. "You said there was more. What is it?" Clara sat, her hands twisting in her lap. "It's not just about your father," she said. "It's about me. Who I was, who I am." Lily's brow furrowed. "What does that mean?" Clara took a shaky breath, her eyes flicking between them. "When I was with your father, I wasn't living as my true self. I was trapped, not just by him, but by who I thought I had to be. I was born male. Eli. Lily. I'm transgender." The room went still. Eli's mind blanked, like a radio losing signal. Lily's mouth opened, then closed, her eyes wide. "You're," Lily started, then stopped, her hands gripping the couch. "I transitioned after I left Ohio," Clara continued, her voice soft but steady. "I had to. It was the only way I could survive. But it's why I couldn't come back. Your father, he knew. Before we married. He said he accepted me. But after you were born, Eli, he changed. He used it against me. Threatened to out me. To take you away. I was terrified." Eli's heart pounded. He tried to picture it, Clara. His mother. Living a life that didn't fit. Hiding who she was. The scar on her wrist flashed in his mind again. And suddenly, it made sense. "The scar," he said quietly. "Was that?" Clara nodded, pulling up her sleeve to reveal the faint line. "I wasn't in a good place back then. I felt like I was losing everything myself. You. My future. I got help. Eventually. But leaving was the only way I could start over." Lily's voice was barely audible. "Why didn't you tell me? I grew up with you. You could have said something." "I wanted to," Clara said, her eyes glistening. "But I was afraid you'd hate me. Or that it would make things harder for you. I thought, if I could just be your mom, it would be enough." Eli's head spun. His mother was transgender. His father had known. Had used it to control her. The man who'd raised him, who'd taught him to ride a bike, had driven Clara to the edge. Anger surged. But so did confusion. "Did Dad hurt you because of this?" he asked. Clara hesitated. Not physically. Not often. But he made me feel like I was wrong. Like I was a mistake. When I got pregnant with Lily, I knew I couldn't let her grow up in that. So I ran. Lily stood abruptly. Her hands clenched. "This is too much," she said, her voice shaking. "You kept a brother from me. You kept this from me. What else are you hiding?" "Lily, please," Clara said, reaching for her. Lily pulled away, grabbing her jacket. "I need air," Lily said, heading for the door. I need time." Eli wanted to stop her, to say something, but his own thoughts were a tangle. The door slammed, and Clara's shoulders slumped. "I knew this would happen," she whispered. Eli sat beside her, his mind racing. "I don't know what to feel," he admitted. "But I don't hate you. I just need to understand." Clara nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere this time." That night, Eli texted Lily, "Can we talk? Just us?" She didn't reply, but he hoped she'd read it. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, piecing together the fragments of his mother's life. Clara had been running not just from his father, but from a world that didn't understand her. And yet, she'd built a life for Lily, kept Eli's photos on her wall. She'd never stopped loving them, even if she'd made mistakes. The next day, Eli found Lily at the river park, sitting on the same bench where they'd met. Her eyes were red, but she didn't pull away when he sat beside her. "I'm sorry I ran," she said. "It's just a lot." "I know," Eli said. "I'm still processing it too." They sat in silence, watching the river flow. Finally, Lily spoke. "Do you think she's telling the truth? About everything?" Eli thought of the scar, the photos, the pain in Clara's eyes. "Yeah," he said. "I think she is." The river glinted under the midday sun as Eli and Lily sat side by side, the silence between them heavy but not hostile. Eli wanted to fix this, to bridge the gap, but he didn't know how. Lily's fingers traced patterns in the dirt, her expression distant. "Did you ever feel like something was missing?" she asked suddenly. "Growing up, I mean..." Eli nodded. "All the time. I had Dad, but it was like half my life was gone. I kept her picture in my wallet. You know, Mom's, Clara's." Lily glanced at him, her eyes softening. "I used to ask her about my dad. She'd just say he was someone she used to know. I thought maybe he was dead. Never thought I had a brother out there." Eli pulled the Polaroid from his wallet, handing it to her. "This is all I had of her. Until now." Lily studied the photo, her thumb brushing over Clara's face. "She looks happy here. Younger. I don't think I've ever seen her like that." They fell silent again, but it felt different now, like they were building something, however fragile. Eli wanted to ask about her life, her dreams, but before he could, his phone buzzed. A text from Clara. "Can you both come back? There's something else you need to see." Back at the apartment, Clara was waiting, a shoebox on the coffee table. Her hands trembled as she opened it, revealing a stack of letters, some yellowed with age. "These are for you," she said, her voice quiet. Both of you. Eli took one, recognizing his own childish handwriting. Dear Mom, why did you go? I miss you. His throat tightened. You kept these. Every one, Clara said. I wrote back, but I never sent them. I was too scared. But I want you to have them now. Lily pulled out a letter addressed to her, dated 10 years ago. She read aloud, her voice shaking. My darling Lily, I hope one day you'll understand why I had to keep secrets. I love you more than you'll ever know. She looked up, tears in her eyes. Why didn't you send these? Clara's voice broke. I was afraid. Afraid of Tom finding us. Of you hating me for who I am. I thought silence was safer. Eli's anger flared. Not at Clara but at the years they'd lost. Dad knew about you, he said. He knew you were trans. And he used it against you. Why didn't you fight back? I tried, Clara said. But he had power, money, connections. And I was breaking. Transitioning saved my life. But it also made me a target. I couldn't risk losing you both. Lily set the letter down, her hands shaking. I don't know how to feel about this, she admitted. I'm mad. But I get why you did it. I just wish you'd trusted me. Clara reached for her hand. And this time, Lily didn't pull away. I trust you now, Clara said. Both of you. That's why I'm telling you everything. The letters spilled across the table. A patchwork of Clara's love and fear. Eli read one dated a year after she left. Eli, I saw you in a dream last night, riding your bike. I hope you're still brave. He blinked back tears, realizing she'd never stop thinking of him. As they read, Eli and Lily began to talk not just about Clara, but about themselves. Lily was studying art history, loved painting, hated mornings. Eli worked as a mechanic, dreamed of traveling, still listened to the folk tunes Clara used to sing. They were strangers, but the pieces of their lives fit together in ways they hadn't expected. By evening, Clara suggested they stay for dinner. It was awkward at first, the three of them navigating this new dynamic. But as Lily laughed at Eli's terrible attempt at chopping vegetables, something shifted. They were a family, broken and messy, but real. Before leaving, Eli pulled Clara aside. I'm still mad, he said honestly, but I'm glad I found you. Clara hugged him, her arms tight. I'm glad you did too. As Eli and Lily walked to the bus stop, Lily said, I want to keep this going. You know. Eli smiled. The first real smile in days. Yeah. Me too. But as they parted, Eli's phone rang. The caller ID showed his father's name. His stomach twisted. Tom didn't know he was here. Didn't know about Clara or Lily. What would happen when he found out? Eli stared at his phone. Tom's name glowing like a warning. He hadn't spoken to his father in months. Not since their last argument about Clara. He let the call go to voicemail. But the knot in his stomach tightened. What did Tom know? Had someone seen Eli in Pennsylvania? He shoved the phone in his pocket, glancing at Lily, who was scrolling through her own phone, oblivious. You okay? She asked, catching his expression. Yeah. Eli lied. Just thinking. They parted ways, promising to meet again soon. Back at his motel, Eli listened to the voicemail. Eli, where are you? Call me back. We need to talk. Tom's voice was gruff, edged with something Eli couldn't place: anger, worry. He deleted the message, his mind racing. He wasn't ready to face his father, not until he understood more about Clara's past. The next day, Eli met Clara at a coffee shop. She looked tired, her eyes shadowed, but she smiled when she saw him. I was hoping you'd come, she said, sliding a latte across the table. I read more of the letters, Eli said. They helped. But I still don't get why Dad was so cruel. He wasn't like that with me. Clara's expression darkened. He wasn't always cruel. When we met, he was charming, kind. But after we married, things changed. He wanted control over me, over our life. When I told him I needed to transition, he said he'd support me. But it was a lie. He used it to keep me in line, to make me feel like I owed him. Eli's jaw tightened. Did he ever hit you? Clara hesitated, then nodded. A few times. Mostly, it was words telling me I was unnatural, that I'd ruin you. When I got pregnant with Lily, I knew I had to leave. I couldn't let her grow up in that. Eli's hands clenched around his cup. He'd always seen his father as flawed but steady, a man who worked hard and kept the house running. Now, that image was cracking. Why didn't you tell someone? Get help. I tried, Clara said. But back then, in a small town, no one understood. I was alone, and Tom knew it. He made sure I felt like I had no options. Eli's phone buzzed again, another call from Tom. He silenced it, but Clara noticed. Is that your father? She asked. Yeah, Eli admitted. He doesn't know I'm here, or about Lily. Clara's face paled. You haven't told him? Not yet. Should I? Clara's hands trembled. Be careful. Eli. Tom. He doesn't let go easily. If he finds out where I am, where Lily is. Eli leaned forward. What's he going to do? You're not his anymore. Neither am I. It's not that simple, Clara said. He's powerful now, owns half the town back in Ohio. If he wants to make trouble, he can. Eli's anger flared. Let him try. I'm not a kid anymore. Clara reached for his hand, her grip firm. I know you're strong, Eli. But promise me you'll be careful. For Lily's sake, too. That night, Eli called Lily, filling her in. She was quiet for a long time before saying, I want to meet him. Your dad. Our dad. I want to know who he is. Eli's stomach twisted. I don't know if that's a good idea. Maybe not, Lily said. But he's part of this. Part of us. I need to see him for myself. They agreed to meet the next day to plan. As Eli hung up, his phone lit up again. Tom. Relentless. This time, Eli answered. What do you want, Dad? Where are you, Eli? Tom's voice was sharp. People said you left town. I'm taking a trip, Eli said, keeping his tone even. Needed a break. There was a pause. You're with her, aren't you, Clara? Eli's blood ran cold. What if I am? Don't be stupid, son. Tom said. You don't know what she's capable of. Come home. Now. Eli hung up, his heart racing. Tom knew something. But how much? And what would he do if he found out about Lily? Eli met Lily at a small bookstore, its shelves crammed with paperbacks and the air thick with the scent of old pages. They sat in a corner, away from prying eyes, as Lily flipped through a sketchbook filled with her drawings' vibrant landscapes, faces full of emotion. I started drawing to make sense of things, she said, showing Eli a sketch of Clara laughing. Mom's always been my muse. Eli smiled, tracing the lines of the sketch. You're good. Really good. Lily blushed, then grew serious. I meant what I said last night. I want to meet Dad. Tom. I need to know what kind of person he is. Eli's jaw tightened. He's not someone you just meet. Lily. He's complicated. And after what Mom told me, I don't trust him. Lily leaned forward, her eyes fierce. I get that. But he's half of me. Eli. Half of you. Don't you want to know why he did what he did? Eli did. But the thought of facing Tom made his skin crawl. Still, Lily's determination was infectious. Fine, he said. But we do it on our terms. Somewhere public. And we don't tell him about you yet. They agreed to invite Tom to Pennsylvania, saying Eli wanted to talk. Eli sent the text, his hands shaking. Meet me in Harrisburg. Neutral ground. We need to talk about Mom. Tom's reply was immediate. I'll be there tomorrow. The next day, Eli and Lily waited at a crowded cafe in Harrisburg. Clara had begged them not to do this, but they'd insisted. Eli's eyes scanned the room, his pulse racing, until Tom walked in. He was older now, his hair graying, but his presence still filled the space tall, broad-shouldered, with a gaze that pinned you in place. Eli, Tom said, his voice gruff as he sat across from them. His eyes flicked to Lily, narrowing. Who's this? Eli's mouth went dry. A friend. He lied. She's here for support. Tom's lips twitched, like he didn't believe it, but he let it go. You found Clara, he said, leaning back. What did she tell you? Eli's anger surged. She told me you hurt her, that you used her identity against her, that you made her leave. Tom's face hardened. She's lying. She left because she couldn't handle being a mother. She abandoned you, Eli. Lily's hands clenched under the table, but she stayed silent. Her eyes locked on Tom. Eli leaned forward. She didn't abandon me. She was protecting herself. And someone else. Tom's eyes narrowed. What's that supposed to mean? Eli hesitated, glancing at Lily. She gave a small nod, and he took a breath. You have a daughter, Dad. Lily. She's sitting right here. The air seemed to leave the room. Tom's face went pale, his gaze snapping to Lily. What? Lily met his eyes, her voice steady. I'm Lily, Clara's daughter. Your daughter. Tom stared at her, his hands gripping the table. That's impossible, he said, but his voice wavered. She never told me. Because you scared her away, Eli said, his voice rising. You made her feel like she had no choice. Tom's jaw worked, his eyes darting between them. You don't understand, he said finally. Clara was confused. She wasn't right. I tried to help her, but she wouldn't listen. Help her? Lily snapped, her voice cutting through the cafe's hum. You threatened her. You made her feel like she was nothing. Tom's face reddened. You don't know me, girl. You don't know what it was like. I know enough, Lily said, standing. And I know I don't need you in my life. She walked out, leaving Eli and Tom in a tense silence. Eli stood, his voice low. You broke our family, Dad. Not her. As he followed Lily, Tom called after him. This isn't over, Eli. But Eli didn't look back. Outside, Lily was shaking, tears streaming down her face. I thought I'd feel better, she said. But I just feel empty. Eli pulled her into a hug, his own eyes burning. We'll figure it out, he said. Together. Eli and Lily drove back to Clara's apartment in silence, the weight of their confrontation with Tom pressing down on them. Lily stared out the window, her sketchbook clutched to her chest. Do you think he'll come after us? She asked finally. Eli gripped the steering wheel. I don't know. But we're not kids anymore. He doesn't get to control this. At the apartment, Clara was waiting, her face etched with worry. When she saw their expressions, she pulled them both into a hug. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I never wanted you to face him. It's not your fault, Eli said, his voice firm. He did this. Not you. They sat together, the shoebox of letters still on the table. Clara pulled out one she hadn't shown Thema journal entry from the day she left Ohio. I wrote this for myself, she said, handing it to Eli. To remember why I had to go. Eli read aloud, I'm leaving tonight. Tom's asleep, and Eli's safe in his bed. Can't stay. Not when I'm losing myself. I'll find a way to come back for him. I swear it. His voice broke on the last line. You wanted to come back. Every day, Clara said, tears falling. But I was too afraid. Of Tom. Of myself. Of what the world would think. Lily reached for her hand. I'm sorry I ran before, she said. I was scared too. But I'm here now. Clara smiled through her tears. That's all I ever wanted. Over the next few days, Eli and Lily stayed close, piecing together their fractured family. They cooked meals together, laughed over old stories, and cried over the years they'd lost. Eli learned Lily's favorite color was green, that she dreamed of opening an art gallery. Lily learned Eli could fix anything with an engine, that he sang off-key but didn't care. Clara watched them, her guilt easing with every shared moment. But Tom's shadow lingered. Eli's phone buzzed with texts come home. Eli, we can fix this. He ignored them, but the unease grew. One evening, as they sat on Clara's tiny balcony, Lily said, what if he shows up here? Then we deal with it, Eli said. Together. Clara's expression darkened. He won't let go easily. He never did. The next morning, Eli woke to a knock at the motel door. His heart sank when he saw Tom standing there, his face a mask of controlled anger. "You're coming home," Tom said. "This nonsense with Clara ends now." Eli stood his ground. "I'm not a kid, Dad. You don't get to decide for me." Tom's eyes narrowed. "You think you know her? She's not what you think. She's my mother." Eli cut in. "And she's more honest than you ever were." Tom stepped closer, his voice low. "You're making a mistake, son. You and that girl." Eli's blood ran cold. "Leave Lily out of this." Tom's lips curled into a smile that sent a chill down Eli's spine. "You can't hide her forever." Eli slammed the door, his heart racing. He called Clara immediately, warning her. "He knows about Lily," he said. "We need to protect her." Clara's voice was steady, but Eli heard the fear beneath it. "Come to the apartment. We'll figure this out." As Eli drove, his mind raced. Tom wasn't just a controlling father, was a threat. And Eli wasn't sure how far he'd go to keep his secrets buried. Clara's apartment felt like a fortress under siege. Eli, Lily, and Clara sat around the kitchen table, the air thick with tension. "He won't stop," Clara said, her voice low. "Tom never lets go of what he thinks is his." Lily's hands shook as she clutched her coffee mug. "What does he want? To drag us back to Ohio?" "He wants control," Eli said, his voice hard. "He always has." Clara nodded. "When I left, he threatened to ruin me. If he knows about Lily, he'll use her to get to me." Eli's phone buzzed again, another text from Tom. "You can't run from family, Eli." He showed it to Clara, whose face paled. "We need to be ready," she said. "He's not bluffing." They spent the day planning. Clara contacted a lawyer friend, who agreed to help if Tom tried anything legal. Lily called her college advisor, explaining she might need time away. Eli reached out to an old friend in Ohio, asking if Tom had been asking around. The answer came quickly. Tom had been digging, asking about Eli's whereabouts, even hiring someone to track him. That night, they stayed together, the apartment filled with a quiet resolve. Eli and Lily took turns keeping watch, half expecting Tom to show up. But the knock never came. Instead, the next morning brought a letter, slipped under the door. It was from Tom, addressed to Clara. "I know where you are," it read. "I know about Lily. You can't keep her from me. Meet me, or I'll make this public." Clara's hands shook as she read it aloud. "He's doing it again," she said. "Using fear to control me." Eli's anger boiled over. "We're not hiding anymore. Let's face him. All of us." They chose the diner, the place where it all began. It was neutral ground, public, safe. When Tom arrived, he looked out of place in his crisp suit, his eyes cold as they swept over Clara. "Eli and Lily, you've built quite a story," he said, sitting across from them. "But it's over." Clara met his gaze, her voice steady. "You don't own us, Tom. Not anymore." Tom's smile was thin. "You think you can just walk away? I'll tell the world who you are. I'll take Lily." Lily leaned forward, her voice fierce. I'm not yours to take. I know who you are now, and I choose them. Eli stood, his hands clenched. You hurt her. You lied to me. You don't get to decide our family. Tom's face twisted, but the diner's bustle kept him in check. This isn't over, he said, standing. You'll regret this. As he left, Eli felt a weight lift, but not entirely. Tom was a storm that might return. But for now, they'd faced him together. Clara pulled them both into a hug, her tears mixing with theirs. I'm so proud of you, she whispered. In the weeks that followed, Eli and Lily grew closer, their bond forged in the fire of their shared past. Clara began to heal, sharing her story with a local support group, finding strength in community. Eli decided to stay in Pennsylvania, taking a job at a local garage, while Lily painted a portrait of the three of them, a testament to their new beginning. One evening, as they sat on Clara's balcony, watching the sunset, Lily said, I used to think family was something you're born into. Now I know it's something you choose. Eli nodded, his hand finding Clara's. We chose this, he said. And it's enough. Clara smiled, her eyes bright with hope. It's more than enough. Their family was imperfect, scarred by years of secrets and pain, but it was theirs. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, they knew they'd face whatever came next together.